Everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're reviewing my cruise on the Carnival Miracle. I took a 4-night voyage in February 2024 on her over to Catalina Island and Ensenada, Mexico. Today we're going to review the entire cruise. We're going to see how the itinerary was. We're going to check out the ship. We're going to review my cabin, the food and beverage, things to do on the ship, everything just to kind of sum it all up in a nice cozy review here on the channel. I have done a full ship tour of the ship, and I do have a tips and tricks video out there, so do check those out on the channel if you haven't already. If you do like this type of content, if you love cruising, please subscribe to the channel and like this video. It really helps us out. Now, Carnival does move this ship around quite a bit, but the cruise line does operate this itinerary on a lot of ships out of Long Beach. So we stopped in Catalina Island, where we have to tender into port, and then over to Ensenada, where there's actually a pier. Catalina Island is a great port, in my opinion. It's just off the coast of California, so you can actually see the port of Long Beach from the port. It's not very far, at least as the crow flies, but lots of things to do in port, lots of history here. It's a great day trip destination, I think, so it makes for a great cruise port. The tendering is pretty easy. They have pretty big tenders that are locally operated that get people in and off the ship very quickly, I think. I know that sometimes that there's swells and things like that, so a lot of times this port can be canceled during bad weather. It wasn't for us, though. We had a perfect day. I ended up hiking up to the very top of the mountains. It was about 3 hours of hiking, and a really great hike. Good to work off some of the calories I've consumed on the Carnival Miracle. But it's really great, and if you don't want to do a hike, you can take a small bus up to the botanical gardens where my hike actually started and check out some of the cool desert plants there. There's lots of history. The casino is really worth a walk through. A little expensive of a museum, but they have a lot of upkeep to keep it really looking nice and pristine. So I do recommend doing that. Lots of bars and restaurants too on the main stretches where a lot of the cruise ship passengers are going to go. So yeah, overall, great port. Definitely recommend going at least once. And then Ensenada, Mexico is going to be stopped at by many ships on the West Coast because it is the closest port that's technically outside of the US, so that they can do their round trip cruises. It's kind of a legal thing. So Ensenada is usually the stop that they choose. I've stopped here many times. I think it's got some of the best seafood on the entire planet. The ceviche from La Cartera Guerrerense, right off the ship, maybe a 15-minute walk into the downtown. It's really just on a corner. They also have a brick and mortar restaurant now. It's absolutely fantastic. I highly recommend stopping here if you love good seafood, love ceviche. A number of different bars claim to have invented the margarita, so those are worth a stop if you like to drink a little bit. Lots of party bars too that seem to be pretty popular on the cruises. A little bit of history here too. I actually did a excursion here with the cruise ship, just to do a little bit more history than I've done in the past and kind of see how these tours go. Overall, I think that the tour was, just okay. It was definitely not too expensive, so I don't think I necessarily wasted money, but there's a lot of time spent on a bus for really not a lot of distance covered. So I do recommend maybe exploring other options there. La Bufadora, which is the blowhole, which is a bit of a drive away from the port. Excellent option. I've done that in the past, so definitely check that out if you like nature. It's really cool. So overall, Ensenada, not everyone's favorite port. I have found enough there to do and make it worth my trip, but hopefully you can check out some of the videos on my channel if you're looking for more things to do in Ensenada. Now let's talk about the ship. So overall, the Carnival Miracle is a slightly older ship. It's got one of those funky themes that Carnival was known for, at least back in the day. Their newer ships look more standardized, I think, to what a cruise ship typically looks like now coming out of construction. But I really do love the funky themes. It makes these ships just feel very unique. It's fun to explore what they actually did. It's definitely not everyone's style, though, so just know that going in. The Carnival Miracle is themed to basically miracles and myths and things like that. So the theater is going to be themed that way. The buffet is going to be themed that way. Hallways are going to have little characters on each of the doors and the walls. So overall, I kind of like it. I'm on board only for a couple days. It's not my only vacation. I run this channel, of course, so it's not going to ruin my vacation having a weirdly themed ship, but it might ruin yours. So just keep that in mind if that's something that you're sensitive to. The ship itself, though, decent shape. Has had some of the upgrades like Guy's Burgers and the Blue Iguana Cantina, but it is an older ship. It's a smaller ship. I actually ended up really liking the smallness of this ship. It was easy to move around, and I felt like it was pretty well designed. And overall, I really liked just the ship in general. I wouldn't shy away from going on a ship of this size again. I feel like some of the big mega ships maybe have too many people on there now, so it was nice to be on the ship here. In terms of activities, there were plenty of activities going on throughout the day. Carnival, I think, does a really, really good job of scheduling lots of activities so you're never bored. Lots of trivia, lots of game shows, really gets the crowd involved. I really think that the people coming on to Carnival ships really are wanting to be actively engaged with other passengers and with all the games, so I think it's really, really fun. I sail a lot on Royal Caribbean, and I think that Carnival does a better job than Royal Caribbean on this. Same with the live music. I think there's live music going on all over the ship, different bars, different restaurants all the time. They really are the fun ships. I think they really do a great job with this and getting the whole crowd involved, even when it is sort of a colder weather cruise because we are going out of Long Beach in February. I was sailing in an inside cabin on this voyage, and to me, I love an inside cabin, honestly, especially for the short cruises. I'm rarely in the room, and when I am in the room, I'm sleeping. If I'm sleeping in, I'm not getting bothered by light coming in through the drapes on my balcony cabin or ocean view cabin, so to me, I love an inside cabin. It's got plenty of room for me as a single solo cruiser here on this cruise, at least. For two people, I think there's plenty of room too. So overall, no problems there for me. Now let's talk food and beverage. Food and beverage is always going to be one of the most important topics to anyone when they're planning a cruise. You're going to want to know, hey, is the food edible? Is the food good? So a lot of food is included in your cruise fare on Carnival. Of course, you have the main dining room that's going to be open for dinner every single evening, breakfast most days, sometimes lunch. Overall, I have been really impressed with the main dining food on Carnival, especially in relation to Royal Caribbean ships. The food's really flavorful. I think the dishes are well prepared. That's been my experience on a couple of different cruises with Carnival over the last 2 years. So I do have a little bit of experience. I've tried the same dish on multiple ships, and it seemed really consistent. So overall, I've been really impressed with that. On this ship, there are a few other included restaurants. Guy Fieri's Burger Bar, fantastic. One of the best burgers at sea. Very popular restaurant too. It's kind of the pool deck restaurant, or at least one of them. You also have Blue Iguana Cantina. They have some tacos. They have fresh made tortillas. I feel that the food here is also very, very good. And then you're going to have the buffet, and the buffet is going to be open breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's open a lot longer hours than Royal Caribbean, which I really like about the Carnival ships too. So they're going to have a little pizza restaurant in there. They're going to have some seafood options. So you do have some upcharges in there, which is bonsai to go. So that's going to be sushi. You don't have to partake in the sushi, of course, but it is available by the piece if you would like, which is a nice option for people. So overall, I really, really liked the included food options. And then I did have a chance to head up to the steakhouse on board, and the steakhouse is obviously not going to be included in your cruise. It's about $60 a person, and I think that it's a really nice experience for a steakhouse at sea. It's going to have your typical favorites, of course, steaks, seafood, that sort of thing. Overall, the same menu that I've had in other steakhouses on other Carnival ships, even though they have a different name. So I'm not sure if that's the same across the board, but overall, I've really, really enjoyed every single meal I've had in the steakhouses on board a Carnival ship. I do want to mention too that the ship has a lot of things to do for kids. There are two main water slides. One is actually a drop slide, which is really surprising to me on a ship this small, but a really cool, quick slide, but really, really thrilling. They have a little splash pad area with smaller slides as well. They have mini golf. They have a lot of activities for the kids in the kids clubs that are near the front of the ship. So overall, I think that a kid is never going to be bored on here, although I cannot review the experience as a kid because I am not a kid myself, and my child was not on board with me on this cruise. Overall, the crew really, really friendly. I can definitely recommend the Carnival Miracle for those thinking about taking a cruise on her. Just know that she's going to be older than a lot of the cruise ships that they are advertising on television and on the internet nowadays. She's going to be sailing on a bunch of different, more unique itineraries too. Sailing out of Galveston, out of Tampa. So I really, 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 really enjoyed my time on the Carnival Miracle. And if you're thinking of cruising, I wouldn't hesitate to book her, and I hope you have a great cruise.